Dr. Shernette Grant, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Leadership Plus with Dr. G. This is a podcast where we keep it real about what it takes to lead, grow, and inspire others. Because if you ain't inspiring others, you are not leading. I'm going to be the first to tell you that. But I'm so glad that you decided to join me. Welcome to season 2, first episode of season 2. I don't know if you caught any of the previous episodes from last year's season, but I encourage you to do so. This is the first episode in 2026. Last year, go back and listen. All of the episodes are on all of your favorite streaming platforms: Amazon, Apple, iHeart, Castbox, YouTube. Go check them out. You might learn something, right? We're all learning, always learning, and that is important here as well. So starting with today's episode, I just want to, first of all, encourage you to join me on this journey this year, but I also want to encourage you to participate, right? If there's a particular topic, an issue you're dealing with, actually a strategy that may have proven very successful for you in your leadership, please share, drop it in the comments, drop it in the chat, or send me a message. I would be really, really delighted to hear from you and hear about your work and your challenges as well. And I'm gonna go one step further. If you are in that space, you're leading and you're dealing with some stuff, or you feel like you have something that would be beneficial for our audience, I would really love to have you as well. So if you're interested, drop me a note, drop me a personal DM, go to the link in my bio, drop me a DM, drop me a message. If you know how to find me, you know how to find me. And I would be happy to explore whether there's some synergy in your messaging or, what it is that you have to share. Because, of course, I'm sharing my experiences. I'm sharing what I know within my sphere of influence, impact, or experience. And you may have something different. And while I would like to think that I know all things, I know that I don't. So if you are interested in just sharing some gems for our audience, I would be very happy to host, right? So tonight's episode, I want to talk about the parts of leadership that nobody ever prepares you for. Leadership that you did not study in the books. The leadership where no matter what workshop you went to, it wasn't quite a part of what the lesson of the day was. So yes, tonight we're going to talk about the leadership that nobody prepared you for, right? And for those of us who are currently in programs that you are not being prepared for, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news there, right? There is a leadership that people study in books, and then there is a leadership you experience when the stakes are real, the one that nobody told you about. The one that they didn't tell you this is what it was going to be like. The moments when the decisions that you have to make affect people's lives in a way that is really unbearable in some situations because the stakes are so high. The one where the pressure is so constant and so high that, again, it brings you stress. When the room gets really quiet and the responsibility still lands squarely on you, on your shoulder, even though they told you had a team and it's us and it's all the responsibility belongs to the whole team. And then you walk in and you realize it really is about you, right? Leadership is really a very powerful space. It's a very powerful art form. But I'm telling you, until you feel the weight of it, all of a sudden you want to get rid of that power. So because leadership sounds so powerful, sometimes the weight that it carries is something that as leaders we have to be cognizant of, because you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. It comes with the territory. So the quicker you recognize that, the quicker you realize and embrace that, I think the easier your leadership journey will be. Leadership in theory is not the same as leadership in practice. It is not the same as leadership in reality. In theory, leadership is very inspiring. We learn about the vision, we learn about motivation, we learn about strategy. But let me tell you something, real leadership is not clean. It is rarely ever clean. And what they do not teach you is that what leadership looks like when systems are not working the way they should be. For example, I don't think anybody prepares you in any class for that moment when you inherit a team that has been operating without any kind of clear expectations for years, and suddenly you are the one who is responsible for creating accountability. And by the way, in a time frame that most of the time is not reasonable. No one ever prepares you for the reality that when you begin to raise standards, the same people who once asked for improvement and charged you with making improvements begin to resist the change that you're bringing about. No one ever prepares you for the fact that some of the loudest criticisms of leadership often comes at the exact moment when the organization begins to shift towards something that is healthier. You heard me? Healthier. Nobody ever prepares you for that. And this one shows up across any industry you're in. It shows up across every industry. In nonprofit, in education, in corporate, leaders are often responsible for mission while navigating limited resources and complex stakeholder expectations. They want more than you were ever even resourced to provide. That's especially in nonprofit organizations. In educational systems, you are making decisions that affect students, teachers, families, and entire communities. In corporate environments, you are managing performance, you are managing culture, you are managing results, a lot of times under constant scrutiny. Very different environments, but the complexity of leadership is eerily similar, remarkably similar. And that is the identity shift that sometimes leaders go through in navigating these spaces. One of the things that leadership does not often really consider is how it changes you as an individual, how it changes you as a leader. Leadership sometimes forces you to confront questions about your own identity because leadership will eventually put you in moments where there is no easy answer. None. No one ever prepares you for the moment when you must make a decision that is right for the organization, difficult for the people, the individuals in the organization. Nobody prepares you for the psychological impact of that. Nobody ever prepares you for the moment when you realize that leadership sometimes means disappointing people who genuinely care about you or whom you genuinely care about. Ooh, that's hard. That one is really hard. No one ever prepares you for the internal conversations leaders have when integrity and popularity move in different directions. Because leadership is not just about managing others, it's also about discovering who you are when decisions become really difficult. And these are the quiet pressures that leaders carry. They carry pressures that we rarely ever see, that are rarely ever visible. Some of the examples: who prepares you for the moment when a room full of people look to you for direction and you know the path forward is not simple? Who prepares you for that? Who prepares you for the emails, the conversations, the expectations that follow every major decision that you make? I thought they said you were the leader. I thought they said you were in charge. I thought they said that you could go ahead and make those decisions. But no, once you do, remember earlier I said, usually happens too when the organization is about to change. And sometimes change for the better. All of a sudden, the emails, the conversations, the expectations, everything is flowing in the opposite direction. No one ever prepares you for the reality that sometimes leadership means being the only steady voice in moments when everyone else is reacting emotionally. You don't get that luxury. No one ever prepares you for the discipline it takes to remain really thoughtful, even when criticisms arrive faster than appreciation. You ever heard of a thankless job? Be in a leadership role, because they love you when things are going well. But when things aren't going so well, all of a sudden, the criticisms come. So whoever prepares you for that, whoever prepares you for the discipline that it will take just for you to just stay grounded, maintain your composure when the criticisms are coming and when nobody is saying thank you. Who prepares you when boundaries are crossed? That's another reality that is rarely discussed openly. No one prepares you for what happens when boundaries around leadership roles become very unclear. For example, in the nonprofit space, boards play an essential governance role. But when governance begins to move into operational decision making, leaders can find themselves navigating some really unclear authority and responsibility. In the education space, leaders sometimes inherit structures in schools where decision making authority is spread across multiple layers, making even simple changes difficult to implement. Happens all the time. The bureaucracy in corporate spaces, leaders may be asked to deliver results without having a full control or having any kind of control, any full control, no autonomy over the systems that influence those outcomes. So you're being asked to deliver something, but you have no control over the system that, by the way, sometimes is flawed, that needs to be revamped, that needs to be changed. But no, we can't make those changes because we're not an organization that's flexible and ready to embrace change. But you are still responsible for the outcomes that should come from those broken structures. When leadership roles and governance structures are aligned, organizations will always move forward, always. But when those lines become blurred, even the strongest of leaders will find themselves spending a lot of energy managing the confusion instead of working on the mission. And this season on Leadership Plus with Dr. G, we are going to talk honestly about some of those realities. And I shared with you earlier on, if you are facing some of those realities and want to have a conversation with me about it, drop it in the chat. Send me a note. Send me that by way of a DM or a message, because I'd be happy to really bring some of those things to light. It's important. We have to talk about it. You can't fix something if you can't address it. It's important for there to be structures set up for you to be successful as a leader. And a lot of times there are none. And if you try to create it, there's a lot of barrier, even from the people who told you in the first place that they want you to create structure. And you know why structure matters? It matters because a conversation about leadership has to go beyond just that one person. It can't just be about the individual leaders. It can't just be about that one individual person. Because while great leadership matters and great leaders do matter, leadership alone cannot carry an organization. An organization needs structure, an organization needs alignment, an organization needs boards that understand what governance means, and especially in the nonprofit space, the relationship between boards and executive leaders shape the health of the organization. In education, leadership clarity determines how effective schools and districts serve students. In corporate environments, strong organizational design allows leaders to execute strategy. They cannot exist without each other. Healthy systems allow leadership to flourish. And without that, even the most capable of leader will spend their time navigating obstacles instead of really advancing goals and advancing outcomes. This is hard. This is not hard. This is not easy. This is not easy work. And sometimes when I hear people say leadership is easy, I have to gasp, because leadership is hard. Managing people is hard. Navigating the dynamics and the politics of systems it's hard work. But listen, if this work stretches you, because I don't want you to feel like it's gloom and doom, if it stretches you, if at some point in your career it has humbled you, if leadership has ever put you in a spot where it required you to exhibit the highest level of courage that you did not even know you had, then I'm here to tell you that you are doing it right. Because leadership is not about being comfortable. It is about responsibility. It is about service. It's about courage. It's about boldness. It's about agility. It's about relationships. And I can go on and on and on with the list. And it's about building organizations that can sustain and endure beyond you, beyond that one individual person's. Because if you're looking at the structures, if you're looking at alignment, if you're looking at governance, then you know what happens? When you step away or you move forward, the organization will continue to thrive, because it's not just about that leadership role. They don't teach you some of these things in school. They don't teach you these things in the book. They don't teach you these things in all of the workshops. And this is why it's important for leaders to also have the support systems, the ongoing development. Anytime an organization tells me that they don't invest in ongoing development for their leaders, their managers, especially their middle managers, don't even get me started there, because the middle managers are responsible for executing what upper management is telling them while being the ones that are absorbing all of the challenges of the people they supervise, the people who don't understand why upper management gave you that directive. But you still have to deliver it with excitement, with enthusiasm. You still have to deliver it in a way that's going to appease and do right by the organization based on what upper management has dictated, and also keep your team motivated and moving in the right direction, even though sometimes they can't understand the why behind some of those decisions. So again, they don't teach you some of these things in the books, or even if they did, they kind of glossed over them. But when you step into the role and have to actually deal with these actual cases and scenarios, then all of a sudden leadership looks very different, and you feel like, where did it all go wrong? Who was going to tell me that this is the reality of the work? Because the theory sounds great, the theory sounds powerful, but the real work is really, really, really very challenging. And that is the part we're going to explore this season. I want us to really dig deep. I want us to dig deep into the real leadership journey, not the polished version, not the version that we write in the books and tell the stories about all the greatness, but we want to move this closer to the parts that are not so neat, the parts that stretch you, the parts that humble you, the parts that refine you. Because leadership is not neat, it stretches you, it humbles you, it refines you. And I want to talk honestly about all of it this season. How it affects your identity, the pressures you feel from it, how it impacts your purpose, how it makes you question your purpose, how resilient you are through it, how you execute despite all of it. And this is not just in one environment, in nonprofit, in education, in corporate, and others. Because leadership is not just theory. Leadership is lived. It's lived. And my lived experience may be very different from yours, which is why I invite you to really share also the things that you're dealing with, and perhaps we can talk about it, right? We can talk about it and share in the space and really help each other to grow and to navigate the space. Because the leader who understand that are the ones who are always going to build lasting organizations. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Before we close, I want to leave you with just a few takeaways for leaders who may be navigating some of the realities that I just described. First, emotional discipline. Leadership requires emotional discipline. Not every criticism deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves a response. Hear me well. Not every criticism deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves a response. One of the most important leadership skills that you could ever learn is when to listen, when to respond, and when to just stay focused on the work you have to do. Second, clarity protects leaders and organizations. We talked about structure, clear expectations. Talk about it from the very beginning. Identify roles, establish what the roles are responsible for. Set clear boundaries up front. Ask the questions up front. Establish these expectations, and these role clarity conversations need to happen from the very beginning. So whether you're in a nonprofit, a school, or corporate, whether you're just leading a team, whatever that looks like, clarity around roles and structures prevent confusion and protect the work and protects you as a leader. Clear expectations, clear roles, clear boundaries. And that is going to protect the organization. Third, leadership is not about approval. It's not about approval. If you're leading meaningful change, there will be moments when your decisions are questioned. In fact, you should have some moments when decisions are being questioned. Because if you are not, it means you're not pushing the boundaries far enough. It means that you're not trying to grow the organization large enough. And that does not automatically mean that you are wrong, right? When people question those decisions, it doesn't mean that you are wrong. So leadership often means making really, really thoughtful decisions that may not be popular in the moment, but are necessary for the long-term health of the organization. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the moments when your leadership gets questioned, even though you're sitting there wondering, I thought I had the autonomy or authority to do that, right? And we can talk about positional authority versus real authority, because sometimes we have the position but not the authority, right? Lots of gray lines here, but I tell you this, it's not about approval, and sometimes your decisions will be questioned, but I need you to understand that it doesn't mean that you are wrong, does not mean that you are wrong, and a lot of times when you're making really meaningful, thoughtful decisions, they may also be very unpopular. And because of that, they may elicit questioning and challenges, but it is necessary for the long-term health of the organization. And finally, this is a journey. Leadership is a development journey. It's a developmental journey. The moments that stretch you off and the moments that refine you. Every difficult decision that you have to make should grow you. Every challenging conversation that you must have should grow you. Every leadership test you face should grow you. Those moments are shaping you as the leader and shaping you to be the leader that you want to become. So take heart. This is good work. This is great work. Being in those roles where you can impact outcomes, impact people, shape decisions. This is meaningful and purposeful work, but it's not one for you to take lightly, and it's not one for you to treat frivolously. Because if you are not intentional about those things, then you are going to find yourself really, as a leader, being the one really suffering, in addition to, of course, most importantly, organization and the people that you serve, right? So with that said, thank you again for tuning in to the first episode of season 1. Like I said, it's going to be an exciting year, and I encourage you to participate. I encourage you to share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And if there is a particular challenge that you're facing or a topic that you would like for us to talk about, please reach out. I'd love to be able to do that, because I want to make this a space where we can grow together, where we can learn together. And of course, like I mentioned, if you feel like you have something to share, a perspective that somebody needs to hear, please reach out. I'd be happy to have that conversation. Follow me on social media, all social media platforms, like, subscribe. And of course, if you're looking to create opportunities for your leaders to develop, please reach out, because it is important that as organizations, we are investing in the people who are responsible for creating those amazing outcomes. Ciao.